Good afternoon, members of the media. Last Friday night, we lost another young man, 30-year-old Taylor Matthew Greer, to a senseless act of gun violence. Today, another mother is mourning the loss of her son. Another daughter is mourning the loss of her father. Bermuda is lost, and all of Bermuda is mourning the loss of another young man in the prime of his life, who had an incredibly talented and community-focused individual. I again extend my sincerest condolences to Taylor's family, to his friends, and I would like to let them know that the government and this country is keeping them in our thoughts and in our prayers at this most very difficult time. As I indicated over the weekend, today's press conference gives us an opportunity not only to reiterate our message of public safety in advance of the Cup Match holiday, but it also serves as a chance for us to update the public on any protocols and safety measures that everyone should be aware of as we approach the Cup Match holiday. Without question, Cup Match is one of Bermuda's most anticipated holidays. It is a time of year when we come together and celebrate the emancipation of slavery and the richness of our heritage. Regrettably, the approaching holiday has been marred by last Friday's shooting death. I want to reassure the public that we are working tirelessly to safeguard and protect our community, and we intend to step up our public safety efforts. We recognize that over the 4-day holiday weekend, there will be a number of events taking place for the enjoyment of thousands of residents and visitors alike. In a moment, Assistant Police Commissioner Martin Weeks will provide an overview of what the Bermuda Police Service Holiday Public Safety Plan, which is intelligence-led and has all the partners working together to assess and to mitigate the greatest areas of risk. But I would like to share some key and salient points that I feel that are important for the public to know. Over the holiday weekend, there will be an additional members of the Bermuda Police Service on overnight watches with up to 50 officers that are above the standard levels to deal with the illegal or antisocial behavior. In total, there will be roughly 150 police officers deployed throughout the weekend. At the Cup Match grounds, for the first time this year, we will have CCTV cameras that will be covering the grounds at the Somerset Cricket Club. And I should note that there will be up to 50 officers daily with a command center at the Somerset Cricket Club field. I am hopeful that every individual that visits Cup Match grounds would have an enjoyable time and act responsibly in the celebratory spirit of the holiday. I would be remiss if I did not inform the public that the Ministry and the Bermuda Police Service have a zero-tolerance policy with regard to persons operating vehicles and watercraft whilst under the influence of alcohol. In this regard, the Bermuda Police Service will take steps to prevent, stop, and detain anyone found to be driving whilst under the influence of alcohol. If you are found to be under the influence of alcohol and in control of a vehicle, you will be arrested, so please do not drink and drive. Turning to the water. As you know, mariners will be very active on this coming Sunday. In conjunction with the Bermuda Regiment, the Bermuda Police Service will maintain high visibility with 6 vessels on continuous patrols. Boaters are encouraged to adhere to all maritime laws and exercise courteous and responsible marine behavior. Lastly, the Ministry of National Security, we will have our coordinated crisis response team that will be operational this holiday weekend. They were activated on this past Friday following the shooting death. Their mandate, they helped restore peace to the community. They assisted family members and friends in the immediate aftermath of the violent incident. As noted last week, the team has identified available hubs in the West, Agape Faith Center in Dockyard, Beulah Tabernacle, and the Somerset Seventh-day Adventist Church, and Vernon Temple AME Church, and the Southampton Seventh-day Adventist Church. In the event of a major crisis, members of the crisis response team will be available at one of these locations to lend assistance to any affected members of the public. In closing, the Ministry of National Security, the Bermuda Police Service, and our partner agencies aim to ensure that the festivities remain safe and free of antisocial behavior. I wish to thank all of our law enforcement and emergency services for their tireless work. Let us work together to ensure that the 2018 Cup Match holiday will be safe and enjoyable for all. I now invite Assistant Commissioner Martin Weeks to provide an overview of the Bermuda Police Service's Holiday Public Safety Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'm Martin Weeks, Assistant Commissioner of Police for Operations. In the wake of another senseless murder, the Bermuda Police Service wishes to express their condolences to the family of the deceased young man and to advise the public on a number of matters as we seek to ensure a peaceful and safe time for all during this year's Cup Match holiday weekend. The purpose of this press conference is to flesh out the details of how we will police the Cup Match weekend using high visibility patrols alongside our partner agencies in the Ministry of Public Safety, the Bermuda Reserve Police, the Bermuda Regiment and the Parks Department. The Bermuda Police Service will be conducting high visibility patrols throughout the weekend with the aim of making Bermuda safer. In line with our strategic intent of guns, gangs, drugs and violence reduction, the BPS are intent on deterring those members of the public who might seek to disrupt the holiday weekend with acts of violence and criminality. Patrols will be paying particular attention to incidents of public disorder, antisocial behaviour and weapons possession. Using an intelligence-led approach, we will be targeting specific hotspots and prolific offenders with a view to reducing the chances of further escalations of gang tensions. These persons who are not deterred by the presence of the police and commit offences can be expected to be promptly arrested and placed before the courts. In response to the positive feedback received from previous year's Cup Match, the BPS will again be partnering with the Bermuda Reserve Police and the Bermuda Regiment, both at the game and on the water. Officers from the BPS and Bermuda Reserve Police will be on duty inside and outside the Somerset Cricket Club grounds throughout the 2 days of play, directing traffic and conducting high visibility patrols. We will also be working in partnership with other agencies including Parks Department at Horseshoe Bay, as well as security officers at the cricket grounds and other venues to ensure a safe environment for all the events going forward. CCTV. The BPS will continue to use the government CCTV proactively throughout the holiday weekend. There will also be extra CCTV set up by a private contractor at the Somerset Cricket Club, which will be monitored by both security officers and police officers. Road traffic. The public is reminded on Thursday and Friday of Cup Match that road closures and parking restrictions will be in effect in the area of Somerset Cricket Club and Horseshoe Bay. There will also be likely to be disruption to traffic in both those areas, particularly on the Thursday. The BPS will endeavour to keep disruption of the motoring public to a minimum. However, all should be aware that there will be necessary road closures and there will likely be delays travelling into and out of Somerset. On the marine side, in partnership with the Bermuda Reserve Police and the Bermuda Regiment, there will be visible joint law enforcement presence on the water during this busy time of year on our waterways. We would like to remind the boating public to ensure their vessels are registered, that a current 2018 decal is prominently displayed on the starboard side of the vessel, and that they carry all the necessary safety equipment on board, and that they are carrying enough fuel for the intended journey. It is also recommended that they file a float plan if they intend to go offshore. Additionally, speed is also an issue not only in maritime collisions, but in the general nuisance factor that is experienced by boaters at anchor near the shoreline. The boating public is reminded of the need to exercise care and caution around other vessels and to be on the lookout for swimmers. To this end, the 5-knot no-wake areas will be strictly enforced in order to calm the marine traffic. We will encourage that persons do not mix any use of alcohol with powerboat operating or sailing. Loud music. Loud music complaints, both in residential neighbourhoods and on the water, are also a problem associated with this holiday, and we accept that the celebration of Cup Match brings to it a party atmosphere. We also ask two things of the public: patience and tolerance on the part of the people who are complaining, along with a display of respect and courtesy on the part of the people who are subject to those complaints. We encourage members of the communities that they live in to work together to keep the peace in the neighbourhood and to avoid the involvement of the police. In recent weeks, a trend has emerged where residents have left their home unsecured while they are out, possibly due to the hot weather we've been experiencing, but on their return they found their homes broken into and valuables stolen. So we urge the public to be aware of this and to secure their houses properly over the long weekend, particularly if they are planning to camp out or attend any of the major events that are planned. We also stress the need to ensure that bikes and cars are properly locked and keys are taken out to prevent crimes of opportunity. Driving whilst impaired. As the Minister has stated, the public should be aware that special emphasis will be placed on offences of driving whilst impaired over the Cup Match weekend. Police officers will be specifically targeting motorists leaving the major events throughout the weekend in an effort to prevent, to deter, and if necessary, to prosecute offences of driving whilst impaired by drink or drugs and driving with excess alcohol in their system. Our final message this year is to encourage everyone to exercise patience, tolerance, caution, and to help the BPS do our job. We appeal to the public, and in particular to those persons in the community who are involved in violent crime or have friends or family involved in these crimes, to think about the Cup Match holiday and what it means to their community, and to not spoil these events for the Bermuda community as a whole. On behalf of the Commissioner of Police, I wish the entire community a pleasant, enjoyable and safe Cup Match weekend.
Members of the media will going to invite questions. If you can start over.
I'll start, and then to ask Assistant Commissioner Weeks.
Sorry, thank you very much.
Sir, last year in St. George, there was some gang activity, a fight that broke out. Have you heard, and how have your training been to assist in if this happens?
There certainly was a fight that broke out at Cup Match, and it's not the first time that we've had issues. Once people have had a certain amount of alcohol in the heat, well, we believe it was gang-related. You know, we wouldn't like to label anyone as gang members until that's proven in court. So what we had was a fight, and the police attended, and it was dealt with. But obviously that's a concern to us that it would happen in an area where there's a lot of people and where there are families. And so we have adjusted along with the Minister. We had a lot of discussion last year after the event as to how we could do things differently. And there are plans in place both with us and the club. And you would have heard me say that there's going to be CCTV inside the club this year. And there will be a police officer monitoring that CCTV. So we hope to be able to speed up our response to those kind of events within the grounds, and there will be enough police officers in the grounds to deal with such problems.
My next question is directed to the murder investigation. Are you aware that a reprisal is possibly imminent? Are you prepared and ready for such activities?
We're an intelligence-led police service, so we keep our ears to the ground. We work closely with our partners in the ministry. You've heard the Minister talk about the crisis team, who feed a lot of information into the system, who are out there trying to help us calm things down and to avoid retaliation. But as I said earlier, we will be proactively policing certain hotspots and certain individuals that we suspect to be likely to do this sort of thing.
Last question is possibly directed at the Horseshoe Bay activity and our young folks, that there seems to be a very high volume of Molly ecstasy on the island. Are you aware of this, and are the officers trained to spot and deal with the activities that come with that?
Well, that's a two-part question, Trevor. Certainly we are aware that there has been some anecdotal experience that there has been certain drugs that aren't normally around in Bermuda out there lately. We understand a lot of people have come back from college, and some of these drugs are more commonly seen in other jurisdictions. How we would detect that is another matter, but we're certainly aware, and at this point, as you brought it up, I would just like to talk to that subject, and we would urge everybody to be very careful with their drinks when they're in licensed premises or whether they're at one of these major events. That particularly young ladies need to be very careful about leaving drinks laying around, And this is not new. This is something that we've been saying over the last few years, because there has always been incidences of people trying to use ways to put things into young ladies' drinks, and that will be likely to happen in any jurisdiction. So we want people to be aware, we want to try to prevent these things, and so we urge the public to think very hard about leaving a drink on its own, or taking a drink from someone you don't know, or even, you know, unless if it's a bottle of water, making sure that the cap is sealed and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm going to invite Lisa Simpson from the Royal Gazette to field some questions with the Minister and Martin.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's happening with the roadside sobriety checkpoints over the Cutmatch holiday?
The roadside sobriety, there were some legal hurdles that we did not jump in time for Cutmatch. We believe that we will have them, all of the requisite legal requirements, completed within the next 2 weeks. As you know, the legislation recently passed Parliament. It then had to go to the Senate. It then legitimated the instruments. We have the breathalyzer devices, and so we are literally going through the administrative pieces to allow this matter to be handled in the public. As much as we want to have the roadside sobriety testing initiated this weekend, and we all did, we also operate under a constitution and under a legal framework. And so what we did not want to do is jeopardize any civil rights, or to be indeed found a foul of the law. So we've made a decision not to commence with the actual roadside sobriety official testing, but Assistant Commissioner Weeks will go through that specifically to highlight what we will be doing and the legal mechanism that we will be using to initiate those things. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have the Assistant Commissioner just go through the legal rubric of the what we will be doing now instead.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, as the Minister said, today is the day that it comes into commencement. Unfortunately, the way the legislation is written, we have to gazette all of the positions where we'll be doing them for 5 days, and so that puts it outside of the Cutmatch weekend. That said, you know, we will be sending a letter this week to the Senior Magistrate seeking authorization to commence the actual checks, the roadside checkpoints, over the next couple of weeks, so you can expect to hear that from us in the near future. This weekend, however, as I said in my remarks, we will be putting a special emphasis on drink driving generally. Whilst we might not be doing the road checks as you might think they would look, where we would have it done the same way as they do in other jurisdictions, we will be stopping cars, we will be running other types of stops, and if the evidence is there that allows us to believe that you have reasonable probable cause, should I say, that you've got excess alcohol, you will be arrested. So we will be actively looking to arrest people for driving whilst impaired and with excess alcohol in the blood.
Thank you. That's it. Dennis, do you have any questions? Right. Members of the media, thank you so very much for joining us. Minister, do you have any last words to wish the community?
Absolutely. This is my favorite time of year. I would like to thank the Bermuda public in advance for what we believe will be the celebration of the emancipation of slavery in Bermuda. It's a time where we come from all over to celebrate. A number of guests are joining us from abroad. On behalf of the Bermuda government, I would like to wish everyone in our community, visitors alike, to have a safe and enjoyable Cutmatch weekend.